Hi everyone, this is Britt Simon. I've got a few minutes, so I thought I'd take a few questions, answer some questions if any of you have got questions you'd like to ask. And we got 4 years running at the moment, so people may have questions about DV 2020, 2021, 2022, or 2023. So I'm happy to take questions from any of those years and talk about some of the questions that may be on your mind. DV 2022 is nearing the end of its processing period, of course. And so mostly, most of the new people I would expect to be talking about DV 2023, but really happy to take any questions you like. So let's see who's first into the chat. So Michael, hi, how are you doing? So good to see you. And Rediet Legacy, nice name. I guess from France, Rediet. Or a French-speaking country at least. Okay, so let's see if we've got some questions. What I want to do is try and what's this from A? Oh, very good. I'd like to try and sort of get into the questions straight away and answer them fairly quickly. So I'll try and do a sort of fairly rapid fire. Please don't repeat your questions. Just ask a question one time, give everybody a chance to list their questions, okay? All right, so first question here. Interview in Cairo, AS 20,000, Cairo is stuck at 13,000. Yeah, so if you're from Egypt, you're stuck at 13,000. If you're from some other country, then in fact you're AS, so yeah, you're Asia region. So no, you go by the Asia region number, even though you're in Cairo. It's about your home country actually. Now, if you were from, and you're not, but if you were from Nepal, for example, then you would go according to the Nepal country region rather than Asia. And so you're current, but Cairo are not interviewing as many people as they want. So that's a problem. Rediet from Ethiopia. Okay, no, I couldn't tell actually, but pleased to meet you anyway. Is it too late to adjust status for DV 2022? It may be, there's still time. If there was someone that was in the USA right now that is a 2022 and they're current and they're here on a legitimate non-immigrant visa, they're in status, they've always been in status, then you could do adjustment of status. The only thing that is probably a little bit more risky is trying to enter the country now, wait in order to change your mind, and then try and start your adjustment status process. There's probably not enough time for that. But if you are in the USA on a legitimate non-immigrant visa, yeah, go ahead and you can do it. There's time to do adjustment. Question from Poland: like to make interview in Warsaw. Do you think make dance to change? What do you think to make dance? I think chance to change the location for interview. Okay. Poland is stacked to the brim with interviews. So you're probably thinking, oh, they're doing a lot of interviews every month. Yeah, but it would be a really silly idea, frankly, to transfer into that volume of cases that they're dealing with. You wouldn't want to do that. If you're almost from anywhere else, you've probably got a better chance of getting scheduled than in Warsaw. So don't do that. Hey, Britt, how long on average does it take for KCC to get back to you once you've filled in the DS260? This whole process depends largely on your case number, right? So if you've got a high case number, they may come back to you and ask for documents if they do the documents procedure, and we don't know yet whether they will, but you'll be waiting for your case number anyway, right? So try and stop predicting the very next thing that's going to happen to you. You need to calm down. This is an 18-month process, right? So you've got to be patient in this process. Now, if you've got a low case number, they might come back to you fairly quickly, and maybe you can get a October, November interview, but it's still, that's the very earliest for the lowest case numbers. So it's still months away. So calm down. Just take your time. Everything is okay. What do you say is enough money to not be considered a public charge? Single selectee, interview in Frankfurt. Yeah, so single selectee, personally, I would say probably $15K. You can avoid the question with around about that. You can avoid the question with probably around about $10,000, but it's not 100% certain. And it is up to the consular officer. But there'll be other factors they'll take into account. For instance, if your education slash expertise or professional experience is good, then they'll be less concerned about your public charge situation. If you are 29 years old or 30 years old, you had a crappy education and you've never held a job down since leaving school or whatever, then you are the classic walking, talking public charge disaster. And in that case, $15,000 probably wouldn't even help you, because they'll be worried about your ability to support yourself, and rightly so. All right, so yeah, it depends on your particular scenario. But if you've got a friend in the USA, get an I-134. It's the easiest way. Can you tell me about DV2021? So the standard answer I can only give at the moment about DV2020 and 2021 is that both years are going through an appeals process. The government is fighting the wins in both of those lawsuits. And that appeals process is going to take until September of this year. So the earliest we'll know anything is then. Now, the judgments we won set a deadline for issuance of visas by September 30th of this year. Obviously, that's going to have to be extended, right? So there'll be a delay. That's all I can tell you. Now, that's if the appeal is won. There's a possibility we could lose the appeal. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in September, okay? Yeah, you've heard of the DV2022 situation. Will DV2023 have similar issues? We don't know. Right now, I'm waiting to get some sort of confirmation whether they're going to remove the pilot program for DV2023 and revert back to the document procedure, or whether the pilot program, which basically removed the need to send in documents, whether that pilot program is going to be extended into 2023. The way the announcement was written, it only concerned DV2022. It does not say it automatically continues into other years, and it will need to be reevaluated. So the setting right now, I believe, and I'm not 100% certain, but I believe that the most likely setting right now, unless they say something else, is that the document procedure is back. Why am I talking about that? Well, the document procedure causes chaos. It's a crappy process. It's badly organized, and it will screw up chances of people in DV 2023 to some extent. It slows down the processing. It's just a horrible process. So there are two main threats that we currently know about, probably three main threats that we currently know about for DV 2023. One is the document procedure being continued. That will mess up the processing of the cases, and it will lead to inefficiencies in the system, so that October, November, December, become very, very quiet months for interviews, and that means we're losing time. That's the first thing. Second thing is some embassies are staying closed right now or taking very, very few cases, and because they're prioritizing other cases, that might continue. We don't know. And the third thing is that we don't know about is whether COVID causes more chaos, more problems, shuts down embassies, shuts down travel. We don't know, right? Now, I can't predict any of that right now, so I don't really know. All I'm saying is I'm hoping DV 2023 will be a more normal year, but it's by no means guaranteed. For me, the biggest problem is the document procedure. That was introduced for DV 2019, and I don't think people really understood how bad it affected the DV lottery. I did, because I was watching the whole thing and I was commenting the whole thing at that time. But the lawyers, for example, working on DV lottery right now, they don't understand the impact that was caused by the document procedure by itself. And so, the reality is we'll have another bad year if the document procedure is bad. It is back, sorry. Okay. DV 2022 from Algeria, your case number is 34K. I don't know whether you've got a chance or not. I can't predict individual cases chance. That you've obviously got more chance if you've actually been processed, your DS-260 has been processed, or if your case is allocated to the embassy. But I don't know how many cases that Algeria has in its backlog, where your position is. So I can't predict anything on your case. Can a CO see records of DV winning even if I don't submit the DS260? In that case, with the CO reject an F1 visa. Okay, first thing is, when you go for any visa interview with a consular officer, you tell the bloody truth, right? If you're asked, have you applied for a visa, you only have to say yes if you've applied for an immigrant visa, I should say. You only have to say yes if you've submitted your DS260. But for goodness sake, don't lie to the CO in any circumstance, right? No lies. So can they see that you've applied? Sometimes they ask if you've applied, but merely entering the DV lottery does not make you ineligible for an F1 visa. It's like saying to me that because I bought a lottery ticket to win, millions of dollars, I now have to pay tax. Of course not. It's a lottery ticket. I didn't really think I was going to win. Maybe I would win, but I don't know. This is the same as that. Okay. Okay, I better hurry up. People ask me this sort of questions a lot. What do I think about the Abu Dhabi embassy? Firstly, it's such a vague question. Do you mean, do I like the architecture? Do I like the front doors? Do I like the people who work there? What does it mean? What do I think about it? Right? You got to be more specific. And to be perfectly frank, there are 200 embassies, nearly 200 embassies around the world. I don't know much about every single one of them. So I'm not going to give you a straight answer on that anyway, even if you're a bit more clear about your question. Do you have any idea about Abu Dhabi? No. I'm planning to go to Chicago on June 6th and apply for adjustment of status. Is that too late? It's getting a little late. You can do it, but I see you say you're working with Jesse. Work with Jesse carefully, and you're going to have to weigh up. Well, he'll talk to you about it. I don't want to say too much. But, it is a little bit too late. If you can do that earlier, that would be better. Although, it's only 3 weeks away, but you've left it quite late. Albert, just got my visa approved. Good vibes indeed. Well done, Albert. Good luck in the USA. Good luck with your journey. I'm from Cameroon, but yet to be scheduled. I don't know what the problem. The problem is 119,000 were selected as selectees. There are only 55,000 available visas. They then wasted several months of processing, and now they're in utter chaos with processing. The problem is probably 40,000 people who want the visa, because not all of the 119,000 would have wanted the visa, but probably 80,000 of them would, let's say. So, probably 40,000, 30,000, something in that range are people who want the visa, they qualify for the visa, they've done everything right, and they're not going to get the visa. So, it sucks, but that's the reality. If they extract Nepal from the AS region, does that mean that regional quotas don't affect Nepal? No, of course, the regional quotas affect the region, and Nepal is within the region. So if Asia hit its max in terms of the regional quota, and if they don't allocate visas from another reason, as they technically could, but if they don't do that, then Nepal is also cut off. It can't receive any more visas. Now, people think Nepal is some special case. It really isn't. Nor is Iran, nor is Egypt, nor is Ukraine and Uzbekistan in terms of the issuance process. There's no special allocations for any of those countries, right? There's no special allocation for any country. From Ghana, you're having a tough time right now. Accra Embassy is not doing great. They're doing a little bit better than they were 3 months ago, but yeah, it's tough times there. So good luck. Do you have any idea when DS260 processing will stop? I think they're going to continue to process some DS260s until quite late in the process for specific embassies. But if there's an embassy that is jam-packed with interviews and has a huge line of people waiting, then I wonder, frankly, if they're going to continue processing. I put a very detailed article on my website, britsimonsays.com, yesterday. I think I published it, that explains what I think about that. Have a read of that. to understand. I think it will clarify a lot of things for a lot of DV 2022 people who don't understand how the processing is going and whether they've got chances or anything else. So go and have a good read of that. Sit down, have a cup of tea, and read it. It's a long article, but there's a lot of information in there. Goulet, if I include an adopted child in original form, can I exclude that adopted child when I'm filling DS260? Okay, if you included an adopted child, I hope that means that you've got adoption papers that dated at least 2 years ago. If you want to exclude the child, meaning you don't want to take that child with you to the USA, then you include the child on your DS260, but you don't fill in a DS260 for the child. But if you, for example, say, well, I didn't really adopt him, right? It's just because my brother's friend had this kid and they couldn't look after him, and so I'm looking after this kid. Whatever story you want to tell me. If you didn't properly adopt him and you included him on your entry, then you're at risk of denial in your case, right? So I hope you know what you were doing when you applied and you followed the instructions. Have you heard of the movements on 2NLs coming from Suva? I'm Sydney, but they have accepted my interview in Suva. That's good. Any info on the OC region overall? And what a great name. It's Anne-Marie by the bass knot. I guess you're a musician or something. Okay, so yeah, Suva have been brilliant. Thank you, Suva Embassy, if you're listening in. I understand the Suva Embassy actually listening to have listened in some of my videos sometimes. Bless them. And thank you, Suva, for helping out the Aussies. There are lots of people being processed by Suva right now. There's hundreds of cases have gone through Suva that wouldn't normally have gone through Suva. And so that's good. The fact that you've transferred to that embassy is good. You've got a good chance of being scheduled. People are getting worried about the regional quota for OC. We are getting close to it, but the government seem very determined to issue as many visas as possible. And Africa region is undershooting because there's so many embassies in Africa that are closed, and because it's just very difficult right now in Africa in several countries. There's a large chunk of the African selectee population. For example, Egypt has 6,000, Sudan has 6,000, right? So right there's 12,000 people who are allocated or living in a place where the embassies are closed. That's 12,000 of the overall number of selectees in Africa region, about 1/4 of all the selectees, more than 1/4. So that's a problem for Africa, and I think Africa is going to underfill. In that scenario, if Africa is not going to fill its quota, the government can move quota to the other regions in a certain proportion. And so that might help the OC region, it might help the Asia region, and the EU and South America, etc. It would go to the other regions, right? So there is a formula for that. It's not guaranteed it will happen. And so, we have to wait and see. But obviously, if I was in OC region right now, particularly if I was in Australia, I would be getting on a plane to Suva and doing what you're doing. So smart move. Yvonne, the PC gamer. I live in South America. Why is it the SA always seem to have the same bulletin numbers, you mean? And the ones from Africa always seem to be so high. Is this a supply and demand thing? No, it's a number of selectees thing, which is based on the number of entries thing, which is based on, the desire of people in South America to take advantage of the lottery. Africa gets a large number of regional quota, and they have a large number of entries. The reason they get a large number of the regional quota is because they're in a low admission region and therefore get the priority. South America is a high admission region. There's lots of people from South America already going to the USA. And this is the diversity visa, meaning the Asia and South America regions that already send a lot of immigrants to the USA through family-based immigration are not the priority in the diversity visa. So roughly speaking, 80% of all of the 55,000 visas go to the low admission regions, which is Africa, Europe, North America, and Oceania. And then the two high admission regions, which is Asia and South America, have to share the remaining 20%. Okay, and that's based on a complicated formula that relies on the population and the movement of people into the USA from those regions. Okay, so that's it basically. That's the explanation. That's probably not as clear as it should have been, but anyway, that's the explanation. Are you anticipating any embassy overload for DV2023, similar to what happened in DV2022 with Warsaw and Frankfurt, for instance? Are you asking, Kat, whether I'm anticipating any countries invading other countries? I don't know them all. I know Putin's a nutcase, piece of crap nutcase, but I don't know of other countries that are about to invade other countries. Well, maybe a couple, but I don't know. I mean, the reason for the overload in Warsaw and Frankfurt is specifically because Ukraine is being invaded by that piece of shit Putin, right? Right. So that's what's caused that chaos. Do I know something else about to happen? I don't know. I can't see the future. Will marrying right after winning the lottery cause any issues? Bruce, they look for fake marriages, right? If you win the lottery one day and then some weeks later or days later or something else like that, you suddenly fall in love and you marry some person, and obviously that person is then going to get a green card. There are places where that happens and it's a fake situation, right? Now, if on the other hand you've been dating this girl for years and you love her and you can't imagine leaving her in your home country and you want to go to America with her, then the smart thing to do is to marry her. So if it's a genuine marriage and you can prove that you've got a relationship, there's very little risk. If, on the other hand, you come from one of these countries where there's a lot of fraud that goes on and these convenience marriages go on to get an extra green card and that sort of thing, and you've got no history of your relationship with this person, then yeah, you're likely to be denied in that other scenario. Right. Want to ask you about KCC. Ask them about my GS260 is processing or not. They say your case is current. Is this an answer? Is my process? Oh. So when they say your case is current for interview processing, I've said and I've explained in a mountain of articles and all over the place and on this channel, all over the place. I've said that they're not actually telling you you're current because everybody almost is current, right? What they're telling you is that you've been allocated to an embassy. So go read the article that I published yesterday on BritSimonSays.com. Go read that to understand the importance of that particular email that we're talking about. And of course it means your DS260 is processed, but that's not the point of that email. You need to go read what I wrote yesterday, okay? And listen to what I've been telling people for months and years. Hi, Brett. I hope you're doing well. Just one question. I submitted my DS in 28.5, my case number 48. What do I think about my case? Just guessing. Yeah, I don't know. I can't, if I could tell you about what's going to happen in your case number, believe me, I would use that power of being able to see the future to go invest in all the right stocks and make myself millions of dollars. But I don't know what's going to happen in your case because I don't have a crystal ball and I can't see the future. If I submit DS260 and then visit the US with a valid non-immigrant visa, would I have any problem at the border? No, not normally. They don't normally look that information up. They just look at the visa. The time when the DS260 can be a problem for non-immigrant status is when you're applying for another non-immigrant visa. And then they'll take the DS260 submission into account and they'll say, hang on a minute, you seem to want to emigrate to the USA and you're applying for a non-immigrant visa. How do we know that you're going to play by the rules and return home at the end of your non-immigrant visa status, right? So it increases the risk of denial in that case. Hi, Brit. I've been selected for DV2022 lottery, but my number is AF 15,000 Monrovia, Liberia. I bet this is going to be a what do you think about my case? And I was current. When do I have a chance to be interviewed for the visa? I don't know. Same question as before. I don't know. I'm not going to answer these questions. I'm sad I just read the whole thing. A pro of shape grammar architecture says, yesterday I fulfilled my DS260. Unfortunately, I've noticed I have to create some part. Yeah, I tell people every year, and people just consistently screw this up. I say at the beginning of the year, take your time with your DS260. Be careful how you fill it, because you're going to make a mistake. You're going to, it's like ready, fire, aim. Why would you do that? You should really sort of take some time to understand how you're supposed to fill the form in, read the instructions carefully, read the articles that I've got that show you how to fill in the form. And anyway, now you're going to have to unlock. You're going to have to email them and unlock. And because there are many people who did exactly what you did, you're going to find they might be slow to unlock your case. So there you go. Oh, and then you're asking, is it possible they'll just ignore your case? I won't ignore it, but it might take some time to unlock it. It's better off to fill in the thing first time right. Play with work experience, and I am eligible. So please, is work experience giving visa? Yeah, there are two ways to meet the requirement for this visa. One is work experience, the other is education. You only need to meet the one or the other of those. You don't need to be both qualified through education and have work experience. But as long as you can show that the work experience you have is of the right level, then you can pass, you can be approved, even if your education isn't at the right level. But be aware, this isn't work experience as a forklift truck driver that's going to pass you, for example. It's not for, it's not, I'm a plumber. I work in a shop. I'm sorry, but you've got to understand it's professional experience they're looking for. They're looking for experience of 2 years experience within the last 5 years in a job that would normally take 2 years of training or education. So in other words, to do this job, you would normally be trained to do this job and, or qualified through general education, right? So it's professional jobs. Okay. And unfortunately, they're not sort of too hot on vocational skills like plumber, carpenter, and that sort of thing. Okay, so be sure you're qualified. Okay. Yeah, question. This is a good question. I published an article yesterday, and it shows that for DV2022, there is a queue being managed by KCC for each and every embassy. And within that embassy, when you've been through document processing and when they allocate you to the embassy, the embassy's queue, they're allocating a visa and they put you into a status that they use internally, which is AV. And I believe that to mean allocated visa, right? And it's only when you're in that status that your position in the queue is sort of noted based on your case number, right? And so the question here is, do I have a list of all the numeric positions for all the embassies? Because I showed a screenshot that showed 2 of them. And the answer is no, I don't have that. The government are not publishing that information. The only way we get information like that is through lawsuits. And there just happened to be one lawsuit that revealed that information. And that's why I was able to show that. But I don't know the up-to-date numbers in each of the embassies. Okay, but thanks for asking that question. That was a good one. The 2023 1L says you need to submit documents. Yeah, no, the instructions say that too right now, and they said that for DV 2022. But you'll eventually learn that what the government say and what reality is 2 different things sometimes. So just because they haven't updated the 1L letter, just like they didn't update the instructions for DV 2022, doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean that the documents procedure is 100% in place. Okay. So there you go. Hello, Simon. I once transferred my case from Ethiopia to Djibouti. It seems it's not better off. Do you suggest me transfer back to Ethiopia? Oh, man. I warned people not to sort of go around shopping for the best embassies. Many people ignore that advice. And so anyway, will they transfer you back? I don't know. You can try, but now you've got to explain why what you told them before. I don't know. You've got to try and do that. Sadak, you unfortunately listed your question dozens of times, right? So don't do that. If I see that you do that again, I won't answer your question, but this time I will. If you're a winner of 2022 and 2023, will it cause a problem? No, it won't. But don't keep asking the same questions. Don't repeat the questions, please. Have some respect for the other people. Just want to say thank you from Venezuela. Got an interview scheduled June 29th. That's awesome. DS260 submitted in October. And fingers crossed for the interview. Yeah, good luck to you. That's awesome. Joshua. Hi, Joshua. Yeah, I will arrive in the USA next June. Do I need to do anything? Give me a clue, Joshua. Do anything about what? You'll need to go to the bathroom, probably. It'll be a long flight. You'll probably need a snack as well. I mean, what do you mean, do you need to do anything? Are you saying, do you need to... I don't know. Okay, let me run through a couple of things. You'll be carrying your envelope with your passport, right? You need to go through immigration, but they won't let you into the country unless you do that, right? It's not like you just jump off the plane and head for a taxi. You go through immigration, and when you go through immigration, you're going to show your passport and you're going to give them the envelope, and they'll process the information in the envelope. When you go in, if you're a male under 26, you need to register for the selective service system. If you haven't paid your fee in advance, you need to pay the fee in advance. But, your question is so vague. There's a bunch of things I could say. But, you're just being very vague, so I'm being cheeky. I'm planning to go to Chicago on June 6th and apply for AOS. Oh, we've already done this one. eBay, I think. What's the latest? Predictions now, blah, blah, blah. Does refuse mean rejection? Because the interviewer was told... Right, so in SEAC, it shows refused for both AP and for permanently refused cases. And under the status and under your case number, etc., there's a description, some wording. And if you're properly refused, permanently refused, the wording is quite short. It's just like 3 lines, I think. But if you're in AP, which is administrative processing, the description is a bit longer. And it explains in that description that you can submit documents or do something else that, you have to follow any instructions that the CO told you. Okay, so they may need something from you, or they may just be doing additional background checks. I don't know. So you need to look at the SEAC more carefully and figure out whether you're in AP or whether you've been properly refused. Okay. When will Nepal go current again? I can't see the future. Long time no see, dear Brit Simon. Not much hope for DV2023. I don't know. We just got to wait until September. I really don't know which way that's going to go. I don't know. I'd just be speculating. 23K EU, May 17, confirmed to October. Yeah, will I have a chance of interview? I should start at the end, because when you ask me, will you have a chance at the interview? There's nothing. There's nothing I can say. Is it true that KCC ceased studying DS260? No, it's not true. What bullshit people come up with. And there's this woman, Passan. So if you want to watch a bunch of nonsense, this woman's driving me nuts at the moment. Her channel, YouTube channel, is something like Passan Nevis. She explains to people how to clear up their house and how to save lemons to make salads or some bullshit. And now, just recently, she's realized that she can get some views by talking about the DV lottery. Problem is, she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about, and so she's telling people a bunch of nonsense. And then when I pointed that out to her, she's arguing with me. Wafoy TV, another one, just looking for views, right? Complete nonsense. EBM Scholars tells people all sorts of nonsense. I need to make a video about the number of YouTubers that are just making videos in order to get DV lottery views and clicks and everything else, but don't take the time to study about what they're talking about. Now, I know a lot of you, EBM Scholars got 100,000 subscribers, and he's done a great job building his channel, but I wish he'd take a bit more care about telling people accurate information, because some of the stuff he's been saying recently is complete and utter nonsense. And that Passan Nevis woman in Sri Lanka is telling people a bunch of idiot, stupid nonsense and arguing with me about it, saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. Well, Okay, blood pressure down. Let me just calm down. So anyway, so no, what you've been told about the DS260 stopping, that's nonsense too. You probably heard it from one of those other fools. So, hi Simon, my passport expired. How else can I fill in the DS260? If you are DV23, please tell me your case number so I can give you good information, right? If you're DV2023 and you've got a high case number, it probably doesn't matter if you wait until you get a new passport. But if you feel that you want to submit your DS260 fast, then you can submit it choosing a different option rather than a passport for right now, right? So it's like other national ID or something. So you could use something else, right? See if you want to do that. What does it mean by at the KCC on my status check? Doesn't mean anything. Just means you're not scheduled for an interview yet. And I hope you mean status check because that says at MVC. It doesn't say at KCC. And it just means you haven't been scheduled yet. I asked 18,000, still don't receive the interview. Saudi Arabia, yep, you're just waiting like a lot of other people. From Africa, last October 2021, I did my son who was born on March 2000, and the system allowed me to submit the application. Okay, so I'm not going to do the math, but it sounds like he was he 20 or 21 at the time? Anyway, the system generally, well, the system doesn't allow you to enter a child that is over 21 on the original entry. You are supposed to include unmarried children under 21 on the original entry. And then on the DS260, you include the kids of any age on the DS260. But nevertheless, your child now has aged out. So if you're a winner now of DV 2023, for example, I'm trying to think of the dates. Is that even possible? Yeah, it's possible. But anyway, if you're a winner now, unfortunately, your child is already aged out, I think. But I've got an article on my website that explains how you calculate that. You get about 6 or 7 months of additional time. So, but you have to go current before that time, and you're not going to make it, I don't think. Okay, let's see. I'm just going to try and blast through some of these questions. My sister won DV 2023 and she's pregnant. Is there any additional steps to be taken when filing out the DS260? No, none at all in the DS260. In the medical, some people in early stages of pregnancy, but this isn't going to apply in your case. Some people are worried about having an X-ray, and so some people think that they can refuse the medical because of a pregnant woman. You can't refuse the medical if you want the visa. So what happens with a pregnant woman is that they give a shield, a lead shield, that will protect the baby, and they do, and because they're trying to X-ray the lungs, they're looking for TB, and so you can still do that. But in the DS260, no, you're pregnant, you don't have a kid. There's no space to put, I've got a fat belly, right? So no, you just have to fill that in, and when the baby is born, by the way, you will obviously immediately, as quickly as possible, add the baby to your case by adding another DS260. Okay. What do I think? Another what do I think question. I love what do you think questions, but at least you've put here any chance of an interview. I don't know. So in DV 2023, here's the two things we don't know. Number one, we don't know the number of selectees. I suspect the number of selectees is going to be very high this year. I'm hearing some high case numbers that tell me that I think the case, I think there's going to be a lot of selectees. But we also don't know the actual high case numbers, right? So we don't know the number of selectees. We don't know the highest case numbers. That means we can't calculate the number of holes. And so, there are not 9,999 cases in front of case number 10,000. Hopefully you all understand that. There are holes in between the cases, right? Gaps, holes in between the cases. So the only way we know how many gaps there are is when we know how many selectees there are and what the highest case numbers are. So we build this picture over a period of time. And right now, we don't have any of the data we need to build that picture. So, I'm sure some of these YouTubers know exactly what's going to happen in DV 2023, and they can tell you exactly what's going on. Sure, they can. I hope you understand sarcasm. Anyway, they can't because they don't have the data. Nobody can, right? So, and if someone wants to tell you it's already taken care of because you believe in God or fairies or whatever the hell you believe in, that's also not true. It's nothing to do with God or fairies. There you go. So if I submit DS260 and then visit the US with any valid non-immigrant visa, would I have any issues? I think we answered that question earlier. I think we answered this one as well. Okay. What if I failed the DS260 in July? My case number is 8203. Yes, you told me your case number completely. You would normally tell me your case number is 8XXX. I don't need to know 203. But your case number is completely meaningless because you didn't tell me the year and you didn't tell me the region. So there you go. Sydney Embassy. It looks like it will never open. Yeah. There was a rumor that they were getting ready to open in June, I think, or maybe July. But unless it happens, it's just a rumor. So I have to see. So I'm trying to read your name. It's something SOS or whatever. This is interesting. You're a software engineer. You're coming to California. Do you want a job? My company is about to hire about 40 people as software engineers working on Python, Django, React, those sort of technologies. So let me know if you want to come to Northern California. Although actually we'd take remote workers too. So, but anyway, let me know. Good luck. Good luck on your trip. I think I covered the AV status, so I'm not going to go into this again, Anne-Marie, but you can always ask a question at BritSimonSays.com. The main thing is that the status AV is connected to the email that says you are current for interview processing. That's how you know whether you're in AV. And if you're in that status, then you are allocated to an embassy and you can't change from that embassy. And you're being ordered numerically within that embassy based on your case number. So people at 1600 and below will be in front of you, right? So there you go. That's probably covered it. Okay. Not really. No advice to give you, I'm afraid, Samuel. You just have to keep on doing what you're doing. You're doing the right things. Basically you can contact KCC. So Nairobi won't know anything about your case. You're wasting your time contacting Nairobi unless you're scheduled, right? So you only contact KCC, and your main question to KCC is my case processed, right? What's my status? Blah, blah, blah. But unless Nairobi has got capacity, you're not going to be interviewed, even with your low case number. Just it's heartbreaking, but there you go. With the plaintiffs of any lawsuit for DV 2022, just the plaintiffs. What will be the plaintiffs of any lawsuit benefited for DV? I'm trying to understand the question. Okay, so Jesse's lawsuits, frankly, already caused some positive things. I don't believe that Suva Embassy extending an invitation to the Australians was coincidence. I think that was because of Jesse's lawsuits, but we can't prove that, or I can't prove that. Jesse has been deposing Morgan Miles and others recently, and so that helps us build a picture, and it helps him argue for fairness for his clients. What it will mean in concrete terms for specific cases, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Unfortunately, the government are still battling, and so. But I know Jesse's working out hard. So there you go. What happens if you don't get scheduled before the end of the fiscal year? Unfortunately, the year end is the year end, right? And so unless there is a reservation of visas that is made before September 30th or on September 30th, then at the end of the year, your chances die. That's it. If you're in administrative processing and that's not concluded by September 30th, unfortunately, also your chances die, right? It's your only chance to be extended beyond the end of the fiscal year is if you're on a lawsuit and a reservation of visas happens. Okay, so Curtis has got a case that might result in that. I don't know, but I mean, they're issuing a lot of visas, right? So, and they're scheduling a lot of interviews. So the government are doing their best to try and get as many cases through as they can. So, I don't know what that means for the lawsuits, but it's difficult to argue that the government haven't done enough when actually they've issued, the majority of all the visas, right? I'm a Palestinian refugee, born and raised in Syria. I hold a travel document for Palestinian. Should I be Palestinian or stateless? Okay, so if you check the instructions, there is a way to tell which country of eligibility you should be putting yourself to. So go read the diversity visa lottery instructions, and it says if you're a Palestinian but born here, then you're from Egypt, and if you're Palestinian but born somewhere else, right? It depends where you're born, specifically where you're born, right? Is it possible to see how many people are ahead of you at the embassies? No. I explained that earlier. Jules, stop repeating the same question over and over again. Even though you got that cute dog lion thing, don't keep repeating the question. Do the results of DV2023 come out once there would be another result at a later stage? Oh, this brings me back to that idiot Passan Nevis. She's telling people to check every month because the results are staggered or something, which is nonsense. So I did a video just recently explaining about the chances in some years for there to be a second draw. That happens, if there is a second draw, it happens in about September, October. It happens one time. So there's no point in you checking every day or every 5 days or every month or whatever nonsense some YouTuber wants to say. There's no point. What you can do is you can check again in October. However, if this year already has a large amount of selectees, which I suspect it does, then there won't be a second draw, right? It's as simple as that. There's no point in them drawing more people if they've already got 120,000 selectees, right? So in which case there won't be a second draw, okay? And there's no point wasting your time, like some YouTubers say, checking every month. That's just her ignorance causing your extra effort. What does it mean? Okay, so you see, I've already answered that one. No. Just looking for new questions here. Soon, right? Soon. I spent quite a bit of time yesterday explaining the history in DV2022 about DS submission date and documentarily qualified date and case number and what is the priority. So please, rather than making me answer the question in a quick way, go and quick but inaccurate way, I should say. Go and read the full article to understand what it is today and why it appears to be different at some cases, some embassies and others, right? So go read that, okay? Case number is 25K from Algeria, DS 22nd of May. What about the chances for an interview? I don't know. And stop answering that one. I've already won the lottery since 2015, but didn't submit because at that time I was admitted to hospital. Please, can I file for this TS260 form? No, of course not. You left 7 years. 7 years later, you're going to suddenly realize that you want to fill in the form? No, it doesn't work like that. You won in 2015. Your chance was in 2015. I'm sorry you were in hospital for a little while, but no, you missed your chance, and you can't just start again. You have to reapply, and if you reapply and you're chosen again, then you can get it then. But don't Don't just like pass up a once in a lifetime opportunity because you went to the hairdressers. Okay. My given name in passport is not full because it's long, but in the bottom bar in passport it's full. If you've got a really long name, it's not going to fit in the DS260. So you're going to have to make a sensible decision based on what's normal in your country about how you might be able to shorten your name, right? So do the best you can. You make up your own mind. I'm not gonna tell you exactly what to do there because I don't come from your country. As you know, Nepal has reached 6,300. How does KCC increase their number? I think you're asking me. I don't know what you're asking me, to be honest. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what question you're asking. But if you're asking like why do they increase the numbers, etc., it's a calculation based on how many cases they need to reveal, and therefore how many case numbers they need to reveal based on capacity at the embassy for Nepal. That's not the same for every region, but Nepal's a bit of a unusual case because they have a high number of selectees who all go through the process religiously. Like they're very good at submitting their DS260s on time. They all turn up for their interviews. They got a very high issuance rate, etc. And they're all, I say all, the vast majority of Nepalese selectees are based in Kathmandu or in Nepal. And so they interview in Kathmandu. So there's a restriction on the pace in Kathmandu. And so the visibility number would be based on the capacity that Nepal embassy is giving. I've talked about 2021 cases, Hamid. We just have to wait for the appeals. I don't know what's going to be the outcome of the appeals. If your case is MVC, are you able to reopen it after you're asking? Yes, you can reopen your DS260. You have to ask KCC to do that. Okay. Right. The number. So the law established 55,000 visas as being the number of visas available each year. For many years, that number of 55,000 was reduced to 50,000 because 5,000 visas were taken from the DV and allocated to a program called NICARA. And NICARA is more or less over with now because it dealt with people from certain countries who were at a certain time, and those cases are almost gone. So the 5,000 visas that were previously being pre-allocated to some other group of people is now back for DV. So there are 55,000 visas available in DV 2023. Okay. In DV 2022, the number is 54,850. Okay. Okay. How about those? Do I need proof of language proficiency for the DS260? No, you don't. MedMe, I'm trying to understand your questions. My given name in the passport is not full. I've already talked about that. Then you say, can you pay the green card, the fee for the green card in the embassy, not Visa? If you mean the $220 that you pay for the green card after you've been approved, no, you have to pay that online. And you can do that before entry into the USA or after entry into the USA. And although, it could be either way, but I generally say wait until you enter the USA. Oh, man. You got an interview date June 4th. It's going to take you time to travel there through dangerous routes. I feel for you. I mean, the thing is, you're saying you have to travel through many countries to get there. You've asked, this is what you asked for. This is a year where many people are going to lose out. You asked for an interview in Nairobi, get there, right? Find some safe way to get there. I'm sorry it's complicated for you. It sucks. but this is what you asked for. And if you lose this chance, if you miss that date, there's no guarantee you'll get another date. Okay, so do the best you can to make that date. This is not an appointment for a haircut. It's an appointment for a visa that will change your life. So do what you have to do. Okay, safely. Be safe. Georgia, lots of questions from you today. You've got to be resident in the USA for almost 5 years before you can apply. It's actually 4.5 years. At 4.5 years, you can apply, and you've got to have 5 years of residence in the USA. Now, if you enter and then leave the country for a year, that time is not counting towards your 5 years. Okay, so it can take 6 years or 7 years, depending on what you do in terms of your travel history. Okay. Curtis Morrison will file his lawsuit tomorrow. What is next? Will the judge call Department of State, send the file? What's next? So lawsuits take time. Okay, he's going to file tomorrow, but it doesn't mean that Curtis has won simply by filing. He's got to make his arguments. And the judge doesn't just get on the phone and say, hey, Department of State, do this because Curtis has told me you're being slow, so I'm going to believe in him. It doesn't work like that. It takes time, right? And Curtis has got to make the arguments, and the other side, the government, will represent their arguments, and so on and so forth. So you're going to have to learn to be a bit patient and just see what happens, okay? Russia, UK news. Applying for DV, the address I used is different from the email address they use. Doesn't matter. They'll use the email address you used in the DS260. That EBM guy is really just looking for views. He goes on to say he's charging. Yeah, that worries me, actually. If that's true, that he's charging people to prepare them for DV interviews, that's not. Well, I guess that's up to him, right? I wouldn't do it. I'm not charging anybody for anything. If somebody wants to, engage a lawyer, they can engage a lawyer. But EBM is not a lawyer, and he doesn't know this process well enough to be charging for his time and giving the impression that he can offer professional help. But that's up to other people, I guess, to decide how they want to spend their money. So, yeah. Okay. Again, just looking for the last couple of questions here. I did see one earlier, which was about the law, the bill that was introduced to reclaim visas from 2017 through to 2021. I can't remember what it was called. What was it called? Oh, so Curtis might be listening in. I don't know. So it says, to green card fee question. This is Curtis. He's just posted on my Twitter feed here. I recommend paying 2 weeks before entry because not doing so creates a high risk of 1 to 2 months delay in receiving green card. That's a significant amount of time to not be working. Curtis, if you're listening in, I disagree with a couple of things you just said there. Curtis, for everyone else, Curtis is a great lawyer, and I highly respect what he's done in DV lottery, but I've been doing this a lot longer than Curtis has. So yes, it is true that paying the fee before entry may increase the speed at which you get the green card. However, it is not true to say, which is what Curtis is suggesting, that you have to receive your green card in order to start working. It's not true. And paying the fee has got nothing to do with the social security number being sent to you, which normally gets you in 2 to 3 weeks. So thanks, Curtis, for the input, but I don't agree with your comment here for a start. And the delay, the 1 to 2 month delay, etc. We don't have real good data on that. Sometimes the delay would have happened anyway. We don't really know, but it's certainly not true to say someone who someone who hasn't got their green card can't work. How do I know that? Because I work in that business. And the DV immigrant visa, once endorsed, is an I-551, and that is acceptable for starting work. It's one of the documents that's acceptable for the I-9. You don't have to wait for the plastic green card. Okay. So yeah. Yeah, it looks like Curtis is listening in now. So so there you go. I was going to look up that other. There's another bill going through. I just wanted to comment about that. People are talking about this bill. Until a bill becomes law, it's just a bill. Every few weeks, it seems, someone suggests another bill where they're trying to get some piece of legislation through. But a bill is not law until it's gone through, Congress, until it's been signed by the president and everything else. So, just ignore the bills, because until they're a law, they're meaningless. It doesn't make any difference. So I know somebody was asking about that. I didn't see the question. Sorry, I saw the question, but I didn't put the question up on the, on the chat there. But I did as I was scanning through. I saw that question. Okay. Here's a question, since Curtis is listening. Is it too late to join a lawsuit for 2022? I don't know, actually. You could reach out to Curtis. Like, go to morrisonurena.com, reach out to Curtis. I think he's probably closed down registration. I personally think, and this is probably going to piss Curtis off, I personally think that the mandamus lawsuits, individual mandamus lawsuits, although they're more expensive, are probably the best chance for someone at the moment, because, and I'd be interested, Curtis, in discussing this with you. If, let's say, the government succeeded in issuing 52,000 visas, not that that's going to happen until September, but in that scenario, if the government are on track to do that, how on earth does a group lawsuit win and say, okay, yeah, but you've got to go to the full 54,850? That's not really, I don't think that's going to win. And then Curtis will say, okay, but they're not going to do that because based on track record so far, they've only issued 12,000 or whatever it is. Yeah, but there's a lot of interviews being scheduled. They scheduled nearly 8,000 people for June. They scheduled about 6,500 for May. There's a lot of people being scheduled. And so there'll be a lot of no-shows. There'll be a lot of denials because of the document procedure being removed. I get all of that. I understand it. And so I'm not certain they're going to get to the 55,000. But they'll do something in the 45,000 to 50,000 range. I'm pretty confident about that. And so then, how do you win the group lawsuits? On the other hand, if I'm sitting there with my case and I can't get my case pushed through and I've got a fairly low case number, I would be signing up for an individual mandamus lawsuit in a heartbeat, because I want my case to go through, right? That would be my position. So, that's probably something for you guys to consider. Let's see if there's anything else there. Yeah, I think that's probably covered it. What will be next? We talked about that. Okay, one more question. If I can just see a quick question, it'll be the last one. That's an interesting question. Why do they ask the social media details on the DS260 form? This is going to be a 1 or 2 minute answer. So there is a suspicion, shall we say, that the government have been running the DV lottery program for some years and have been collecting all sorts of data. And it's a very valuable resource for them. They get information on about 15 million entries a year, about 25 million people from around the world, right? They get all sorts of information. Then they get people to fill in DS260s. And each year they select a high number of people, more people than they can give visas to. And all of those people, or a lot of those people, fill in their DS260s. And they're building up information, right? It's a database of information. And so, it could just be that they're looking to build up information, because when they want to try and find out something about some terrorist, and they want to know, who does this person know, right? We know this guy's a terrorist. We just, we watched him, try and do something bad in some country, but he's a terrorist. Who does he know, right? And through social media connections, they can sort of figure out connections between people. So they are definitely doing background checking, and social media will help them do that. So it could be possible that that's sort of what they're trying to do with that information. But in the most mundane way, they want to know, information about you. They've got the right to do that. They can ask you anything they want. If you want a green card or any visa, But if you want an immigrant visa, they have the right to ask you any questions they consider important, right? And one of the things they want to do is they want to see that you haven't got a Facebook where you spend all day, every day complaining about America and saying, death to Americans or something, right? But give them the honest, open information, because it's not a good thing to lie to the US government. Okay. All right, everybody, I'm going to call that a day. Thanks for your time today. Thanks for listening on, and I'll see you again soon. All right. Bye-bye now.